Hong Kong Direct is your weekly racing roundup, packed full of news, views, previews, interviews and special guests. And coming up on the show today, a week on from FWD Champions Day, we look back on the magnificent day and all the big winners as well. Exultant Southern Legends caused an upset in the FWD Champions Mile, and Mr. Stanning bowed out in the best possible style in the Chairman's Sprint Prize. All of that to come. Great to have you as part of the show, though, today. I'm Andrew Jeune. Pleased to say I'm joined by a Hong Kong Jockey Club racing writer as well in Dave Morgan. And Dave, so many different angles to explore out of the big winners on the weekend.
Yeah, we had some fantastic races there, didn't we? That Beauty Generation Southern Legend, that was a titanic battle. Vincent Ho got his first Group 1. Mr. Stunning popped up and gave us a fantastic swan song with that win. And then, of course, we had Exultant, which that was a really tough win that he put together there for Zac Purton to get that full house of major Group 1 wins. Absolutely. And on that front as well, with Zac, we'll come back to that later on in the show as well. But it was a big effort from Zac, because he had a couple of disappointments, really, with Athero, then Beauty Generation. So to come out again and then deliver in the FWD QEII Cup, probably no easy task. No, and it was interesting if you watch his reaction on Exultant and the way he was. There was almost a desperation, which you don't see with Zac Purton in that final 150 metres of that race. And his body language afterwards, there was just this intense relief, as well as the exultation that he'd actually won that. Yeah, well, hopefully we'll get some of that as well as we look back on FWD Champions Day. That's where we'll start this week. A review of the big day with Ed Sadler.
It's one of the major events on the Hong Kong racing calendar. FWD Champions Day, 3 Group 1 races worth a combined $63 million in prize money. The first of the big ones was the Chairman's Sprint Prize, where Mr. Stunning proved that he still has what it takes to win at the elite level.
The insider's Hot King Prawn on the outside. Thanks forever. Big Time Baby is lifting from Hot King Prawn. Mr. Stunning gets through late. Mr. Stunning's going to turn back the clock. Stunning!
It turned out to be a fairy tale finish to Mr. Stunning's career, with Connections making the decision to retire the 7-year-old in the aftermath of his Chairman's Sprint Prize triumph. Race favourite Athero was eased up in the home straight after he suffered a bleeding attack. The exciting 3-year-old won't race again for at least 3 months, and it is unclear where his racing future lies, given that his current trainer John Moore will leave Hong Kong at the end of this season. Moore's master miler, Beauty Generation, was out to make history in the FWD Champions Mile by attempting to complete an unprecedented 3rd straight win in the race. However, there was no fairy tale this time.
Southern Legends gone with him and made the lead. Then White Cuckoo. Southern Legends ahead in front. Beauty Generation's coming again. Southern Legend might have won the Champions Mile over Beauty Generation. It's a thrilling finish.
Southern Legend's victory was the biggest success in his career, whilst it also gave hometown hero Vincent Ho his first win at the highest level.
Yeah, it's amazing, you know. Although no spectators, but it's a Group 1. You know, it's been working really hard, and of course, thanks for all the opportunities that I've had. It's definitely not easy, but hopefully there's plenty more to come.
As for Beauty Generation, a decision is yet to be made regarding his racing future after his brave effort in defeat. After not getting the desired results on Athero and Beauty Generation, a determined Zac Purton guided Exultant to victory in the FWD QEII Cup, ensuring that his charge went one better in the race than he did 12 months prior.
It's Exultant with 150 to go. Exultant leads. Furore still a length to make up. It's QE2 redemption for Exultant.
Exultant's tenacious triumph also gave Purton a significant career milestone, as he became the first jockey to win every Group 1 on the Hong Kong program.
I didn't want a repeat of last time. That obviously didn't go well for us. And, you know, I had planned to be outside him in the run, but my guy showed no speed early. So I just had to wait until we got around that first corner and then allow him to move into the race. It's an achievement I'm obviously very proud of. Any Group 1 race is hard to win, as I've found out today. But, you know, that's why they're Group 1 races. They're not easy, and they should never be easy. And you know, the competition is tough. So to go home and finally have won this race today, I'm still going to go home a little bit flat, but I'm going to go home very thankful that this trophy's now on the mantelpiece.
Trainer Tony Cruz also celebrated training the Quinella in the race, with his recent acquisition Furore filling second placing. Both horses will now progress to the final Group 1 for the season, the Standard Chartered Champions and QEII Cup, over 2,400 metres on May 24.
It was a great day. We'll maybe go back in race car order, David. So we'll start off with the Chairman's Sprint Prize and Mr. Stunning. It was a stunning result. He's only actually won 2 races for Frankie Law, but the 2 races he's won as a sprint on International Day and the Chairman's Sprint Prize, so it's quite a double act.
Yeah, same with Teton as well.
Yeah.
He was on board for both those 2 Group 1 wins. It was fantastic to see him lift. I mean, it was a cracking race when you had Big Time Baby coming, Thanks Forever on the outside, and just to see the old boy, Mr. Stunning, lift on the inside in that last 50 metres. I think everyone got a buzz from that. It was great to see, especially after he'd had that injury, which ruled him out a year ago. And don't forget, he'd run twice. He'd run second in this race, so it was just reward. Absolutely.
We'll have a little tribute to Mr. Stunning in part 2 of the show. DB Pin actually bowed out on the weekend as well, a Group 1 winner for John Size called Mr. Stunning. Started his career with John Size. Athero, though, Dave, he was the big disappointment out of the race, but you could see clearly from those pictures that he bled, and it was quite a bad bleed as well.
Yeah, that wasn't nice to see. And it sort of took a little bit of the buzz, if you like, out for a little while there. But yeah, it was sad to see, and hopefully he can bounce back from that.
Yeah, Thanks Forever was a super run, though, for John Moore being placed in that race as well. Onto the FWD Champions Mile then, and Beauty Generation absolutely cruising at the top of the straight, but Southern Legend got clearly past him, and it was just bob of the heads, really, on the line that's denied him that three-peat.
Yeah, it was like the racing fates came together and gave Southern Legend his win. He really deserves a Group 1 win. He's gone to Singapore 2 years running and won the Kranji Mile, and he was denied that this year because of the situation. But to come back, that was what compensation for missing out on that Kranji Mile hat-trick, to get his head down on the line and give Vincent Ho that Group 1 win that he so deserves as well.
Yeah, and we talk about it week in, week out, but what a season he's having. Clean sweep of the 4-year-old series, now the Group 1 as well, and sky's the limit, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he's done fantastically well. Look, all of these jockeys here, they work hard, they have to fight for everything they get. You see Vincent coming through as the homegrown talent, and he puts in all that work, all that effort, and he's putting himself in the right place in races, he's making less mistakes, and he's getting it right.
And just quickly on Beauty Generation as well, Dave, seems up in the air. There's 2 Group 3s at the end of the season. There's a mile race at the end of May, and there's a 1,400-metre race at the end of June, and it's possible he might want it running one of those, maybe.
Yeah, it would be possible, yes. I don't know which one they'll go for. I know the owner's like 1,400 metres. Personally, I'd like to see him go a mile if he's going to run again. But, you know, if he doesn't run, maybe next season, I don't know what the plans are long term.
Still up in the air. They would be handicaps as well as Group 3 races. On to Exultant then, the FWD QEII Cup. Tony Cruz had 3 in the race. Time Warp got out in front and stole the race last time out under Joe Moreira, but Zac wasn't having any of that this time round. No,
he wasn't going to let that happen. You could see at the 1,300 metres out, Zac decides, no, you're not having it your own way, Joe. He comes up on his outside, and then from the 1,200, just keeps pushing him. And as we know, when Time Warp gets to the top of the straight, if he's not having it his own way, chances are he's going to cry enough, and that's what happened. And then Exultant's gone and pushed on through, and what a tough horse. It was kind of like watching a 3-mile steeplechaser, and I don't mean that in a bad way, because I love steeplechasers, right? But it was gritty, it was tough, and the class was there to do it. It was a fantastic run.
It certainly was. And Fiore now with the Tony Cruz stable as well. It was a much better effort from last year's Derby winner too.
Yeah, much improved. And Tony had said in the lead-up that he'd said that the horse had sort of improved for him. He'd seen that in the horse's attitude, in his personality. He said he was a nervous horse, and he was starting to show that he'd settled into his environment. So I know Tony was expecting a good run from him.
All right, well, that win in the FWD QEII Cup made it a clean sweep of all the big races for Zac Purton now in Hong Kong. We can see them listed there. He's actually won a fair few of these twice as well, Dave, but it's basically a decade's work here that's he almost managed the clean sweep last year with Exultant running second, but now he's got it in the back pocket, and in total 1,129 wins in his Hong Kong career so far as well.
Yeah, very impressive. You know, I go back to when I first came in and where Zac's come to. So that was 9 seasons ago. and seeing how Zac's just pushed forward and gone to a whole other level. I remember doing a feature. I interviewed him after Little Bridge had won at Royal Ascot back in June 2012. And there was just that sense at that time that Zac Purton was the guy that was going to come through, that was going to pressure Douglas White. And sure enough, he's done it. And he's established himself as one of the world's best jockeys. We're very fortunate that we've got two outstanding jockeys here in Zac Purton and Joe Moreira, and seeing them going at it week after week. We're very privileged.
We certainly are, and with those over 1,100 wins now, $1.3 billion in prize money as well. And overall career statistics, David's batting a strike rate of 16%, and that's going back to the early days as well. Year on year is around, in the early 20%, but 16% for the actual career is a huge number in Hong Kong.
Yeah, huge. And if you think when he came in, he was battling away really hard, riding for the local trainers, riding horses that didn't have much chance, and he's done it very much the hard way. He didn't come here as a golden boy that was given it on a plate with nice rides. He had to work really hard to get to that position, and he's a fantastic operator. In Hong Kong, the jockeys, they don't have agents; they have to do it on their own. They've got to know how to play the system. They've got to know how to connect with owners and trainers, and Zac does it fantastically well.
He does. He's having a great battle with Joe Moreira in this year's title as well. Joe's just in front at this stage. There's still over 20 meetings to go, though. We've got plenty more to come in part two. A tribute to Mr. Stunning. Looking ahead to the weekend action as well. That all comes up right after this. You're watching Hong Kong Direct, and very shortly we'll be looking ahead to the feature race at Sha Tin on the weekend, the Queen Mother Memorial Cup Group 3 contest. Dave Morgan's still with me here. Give me his thoughts on that. If you want the individual race-by-race previews, though, make sure you have a look at Racing to Win on the Multimedia Showcase part of the website, where Mark, Tom and Paul will go through each of the 11 races on the weekend. Next up for us, though, Mr. Stunning bowed out on the weekend with victory in the Chairman's Sprint Prize. We can look back on now what was a fantastic career.
Mr. Stunning is absolutely thundering home. Mr. Right and Mr. Stunning to the line. It's going to be tight. Very close. Mr. Stunning, I think, got there, though.
He surprised everyone and myself that day. I remember before even his first start, he was trialing nicely, but once they put a performance like that, especially at Happy Valley, 1,000 meter, then you know there was something special.
Mr. Stunning in front, DB Pin right in for the fight. DB Pin, Mr. Stunning, they're clear of Blizzard. Mr. Stunning and DB Pin, Mr. Stunning in front. He's got all the moves, Mr. Stunning. He wins the sprint from DB Pin and Blizzard third. Beat the clock, wider out, DB Pin. Mr. Stunning in front from DB Pin and beat the clock. Mr. Stunning, he's the man.
I think he got a really good heart, this horse. In the morning, you can see he's very relaxed. In the trial, different horse. So usually the good horse is always like this. So I think difficult to get a good horse,
On the outside, Thanks Forever. Big Time Baby is lifting from Hot King Prawn. Mr. Stunning gets through late. Mr. Stunning's going to turn back the clock. Stunning! Mr. Stunning from either Big Time Baby or Thanks Forever.
It's gonna be sad not having him around anymore. He's just so special, and every time he's gone out there, and he's always try his best. You don't find many horses like that, and he will always be part of my career.
Yeah, hold a very special place in Karis Teaton's heart, I'm sure, Dave. Over $60 million, 3 Group 1s, and consistency was the key right throughout his career for Mr. Stunning.
Yeah, you're right. Fantastic record. 12 wins. He was 7 times second, 4 times third, I believe. He was just always thereabout in those big races. And, looking at that package, you go back to that first win that Karis was talking about at Happy Valley. I think everyone who was there that night thought, whoa, that was a bit special. He could be good. And sure enough, he was.
And Karis on board for that win as well from the start. And interestingly as well, Frankie Law was as well, because you might have seen him just off to the side. He was John Sizer's assistant back in those days. So he started and finished with Frankie to a certain extent too.
Yeah, that's right. Frankie's done a great job with him as an older horse, keeping him sweet, especially coming back after that injury. You've also got to look at John Size, though, the man who put in the groundwork through those first couple of seasons. He did what John Size always does. He brought this horse along, nurtured him, and produced a horse that could be top class.
of his 30 starts, top 3 finishes in 23 of those races, an outstanding performance. But what he does by leaving, Dave, is leaves a gap, you know, at the top there. Beat the clock we've still got, of course, but we are looking for the up-and-coming sprinters now to fill the void left by horses like Mr. Stunning and DB Pin.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we've got to look forward to next year, what's going to come through, because they are getting old, those sprinters. And with Athero having that setback, it's going to be interesting how it plays out. Voyage Warrior, will he be able to go on and get his act together and put it together consistently, which he hasn't been able to do so far?
Yeah, and Big Party, of course, out of the sprint on the weekend as well. So plenty to look forward to, but we wish Mr. Stunning a very happy retirement there. Looking forward to Sha Tin then on Sunday. Group 3 action, the shape of the Queen Mother Memorial Cup. One of only 3 mile-and-a-half races here in Hong Kong over the season. Eagle Way, super run from him last weekend behind Exultant, finishing 3rd. Helene leading star on a hat-trick. Helene Charisma, 4 of these horses are trained by John Size. Helene Charisma, Shafano and Savvy 9, who was a good run in the Derby behind Golden Six here, but behind leading star, as a few of these were, Dave, last time out. Is he I suppose the place to start is Helene leading star, who ran in this race last year in actual fact and ran well.
Yeah, he looks to be the one. If you take his, he's coming in off 2 wins, which is big, and you're looking at the others, their form's a little bit mixed. So Helene leading star is coming in form. Tony Cruz thinks he's in cracking good form and expects a big win. I think Tony expects him to win this and progress forward. I'd be leaning that way myself at this point, but how's this race going to be run? 5 runners, mile-and-a-half races at Sha Tin, notoriously they'll walk. The puzzle for me is how is this race going to shape up?
All right, well, why don't we hear from Karis Teaton? He might give us some clues. He'll be the man on board. Helene leading star on the weekend.
Karis, Helene leading star, you must have been happy with his last start win.
Yeah, it was a good performance from him last time. It seems like he's now turned the corner and doing everything right, so it's a good sign.
So is that the difference between last season and this season? Because you did ride him a lot last season.
Yeah, I just thought, you know, for a big horse, maybe he just did not acclimatize yet. He seems to be in a better shape now. He sort of he goes out and relax more and sort of, you know, start racing better. So, you know, like I said, he felt really good last time. He felt he's in good shape. So it's actually a very nice race coming up for him.
He's a Group 1 winner from Australia over 2,500 metres, so you'd have no concerns about him stepping up to 2,400 on Sunday?
Nah, should be no problem. He will stay whole day, so looking forward for him.
He was beaten, finished 3rd behind Ho Ho Khan in this race last year. Ed just touching Dave there on the fact that he had distance form in Australia as well. So the 2,400 metres isn't a concern for him in any shape or form. No, not a worry at all. It would be for maybe a horse like Savvy 9. He had good form at around a mile racing in France. And I know John Moore has a slight reservation about staying the trip, but if there's no tempo on, you don't know what's going to happen. If Savvy 9 gets the right ride, he could be one that can just quicken into it. He gets a £7 turnaround with Helene start on their last meeting. This is a handicap, of course. Eagle Way was a super run last weekend behind Exultant, but he has to give the field upwards of a stone, which is no easy task. No, I think it's a big task, huge amount of weight to give away. And coming off that backup, I know I spoke to John Moore and asked him about that backup coming 1 week after that big run. He wasn't worried, but it's just the weight. The weight's the issue for me. Yeah, Zac Purton's ridden him once before, though, and he did win. That was at Happy Valley. What about the other Helene in the field, Helene Charisma? He's clearly got the ability, but it's just whether he's in the right mood, I suppose, as much as anything else. Yeah, you never quite know with him. His run 2 runs back was fantastic. Ran on really strongly after getting checked in his run maybe once or twice in the straight. His last run wasn't so good, and this is the problem with him. He mixes his form. He does well coming out of Chung Fa. He's been in Sha Tin for a few weeks now, so I'm not sure about him, but he's certainly got the ability to be right there and even win it. All right, and Shafana, the 4th of the Moore runners, has had quite a good season, in actual fact, and again gets a £7 turnaround with Helene leading star in their last meeting. But as far as your selection is concerned, Dave, who wins a potentially tactical affair here? I'm going to go with Helene leading star. He's got no problem with the trip. He's coming in good form with those 2 wins. I don't see any reason to oppose him. All right. Helene Leading Star, I think he's the safe option as well. He might not be much of a price in a 5-runner race, but he is the one to beat for me as well. Now, as far as the diary is concerned then, we have the 11 races. We've got a Griffin race to kick things off on Sunday. Race number 3 for the Queen Mother Memorial Cup. That is a Group 3 contest. Back to Happy Valley next Wednesday night, and then it's Saturday for us as we turn to Sha Tin next weekend. So Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday as far as the diary is concerned over the next week or so. That just about wraps things up, Dave. We talked a lot about the jockeys on today's show. I haven't mentioned the trainers' title race, though, which is an intriguing affair with Ricky Yu and Frances Loy. Still not too much between them.
Yeah, not much. Ricky just keeps ticking those wins along. He's moved 6 wins ahead with a win on Wednesday night at Happy Valley. So Ricky's in the driving seat. Francis is going to have to work hard to catch him, and everyone else has got a real tough job with meetings fast running out.
Yeah, Tony Cruz is lurking there on 42 wins, though, as well. We'll keep an eye on that. Great work as always, Dave. We'll catch up again soon.
Thank you. All
right, well, that's the show. Thanks for watching. I'm going to leave you this week with last year's Queen Mother Memorial Cup. Unfortunately, last year's winner, Ho Ho Khan, on the sidelines, so not taking part this time round. Helene Leading Star, though, is. Enjoy this. We'll see you again on the weekend and bring you all the action from Hong Kong direct to you.
They've gone to the 1,000 now, and there's been no pressure put on Helene Leading Star. Having said that, it's been a solid enough gallop. Down the side, 8.50 out, 2.5 clear. Insatiable second, Tashadelic third. Helene Charisma's had beautiful run and beautiful cover in the race. Ho Ho Khan still asleep on the rail. He's about to rev up now. Savvy Six is holding him in a pocket. Riven down on the fence, third last from Mongolian King, and Victory Boys 2.5 last of all. They pack up coming to the corner. 500 metres to run in the Queen Mother Memorial Cup, and Helene Leading Star picks them up and puts them down. He's a length clear. Insatiable Tashadelic. Ho Ho Khan's been woken up, and he emerges down the middle now. Savvy Six rolling with him. Helene Leading Star kept finding. Ho Ho Khan at the 250 now reels him in. Savvy Six is trying to match him, but Ho Ho Khan, he sprouted wings and burst clear in the Queen Mother Memorial Cup from Savvy Six, Helene Leading Star, and then Victory Boys, but Ho Ho Khan is triumphant.